Hey everybody, if you're looking for information on concert photography, you've come to the right place. What we do here is give you everything from business to setups to settings to all that kind of information. And this week we're doing the third installment of our concert photography exposure settings. And this week we cover ISO. So stay tuned and I'm going to bring it to you. I'm Robert Maxfield, and I've been photographing concerts and live music since 1977. Some of the bands I've photographed are Queen, Van Halen, Ted Nugent, Journey, and many, many more. Okay, concert photography and ISO, I'm going to make it real simple. I'm not going to get long haired. There's a lot of people out there that say ISO is bogus. It means nothing. There's a lot of people that tell you that it's not the same for camera to camera. It's brand to brand. There's a lot of people that will tell you that it's unreliable. You'll hear all kinds of stories. Who cares? As long as what ISO or ISO does is give you a proper meter reading so that you can make a photograph and it come out properly exposed, that's the main point. So we're going to cover some of that. But don't worry about getting real long here. It's not going to be real long here. It's going to be fairly simple. Okay, I'm going to go over some of the things that you should do to set up for your concert photography. The first thing you're going to need to do is to set your shutter speed, and we're going to set that according to whatever focal length lens you're using. So let's say we're using a 200 millimeter lens. Our shutter speed would be 1/200th or 1/250th of a second. If you were shooting with an 85, it would be 1/185th of a second, 1/190th of a second, somewhere in there. You're going to set it to a shutter speed that's basically of the same equation, same number as the focal length of your lens. After you've done that setting, what you're going to do is you're going to set up your ISO, and you set your ISO first. I normally set mine for low light conditions to 1600. I rarely ever have to go above that. Most of the time, sometimes I have to go below that. So I will set my ISO at roughly 1600 to start. If I have to go up, I go up slowly, one increment at a time. If I go down, I go down the same way. There's a lot of people that jack their ISO up to 32,000, 52,000, 51,200. There's no need. Uh, you're not in a supernova, anything like that, so you're not going to have a problem. So that's the second step. The third step is to set your metering to you're going to set your metering to spot metering. So what that does is that gives you a point on your in your viewfinder that you can select where you want to place the metering point. There are different kinds of metering. The first kind of metering that most cameras use is called matrix metering, and that takes the whole entire area in the viewfinder that you see and it meters off the whole scene. It gives you an average for what the scene looks like. That's not good because what happens in low light conditions, you'll have a dark patch over here, you'll have a bright light over here, you have a spotlight up there. So it's trying to average all that, and then all of a sudden it'll change and you'll have a problem again. So that causes a problem. So the next thing it will do, you want to see is you look at the center weighted metering system. In the center weighted metering system, the very center of the viewfinder is actually where it produces the most, it surveys the most for your metering. The outer edges, it does less. So it takes and concentrates on the center. Then you have spot metering. And spot metering meters off a spot that you select throughout the viewfinder. You can move it around and change it, and that's where you want to place it. So typically when you're going to meter, what you want to do is you want to meter on one point, probably the nose, the face, a hat, a piece of clothing, something like that, that you can get a proper tone, because the most important things to meter is actually that is your skin tone, the face. That will be the next thing that you're going to do. Now, a lot of the same stuff that I'm telling you is based on electronic DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, but it works the same way if you're shooting film. So if you're shooting film, instead of having a electronic sensor that takes and gets all the information, you take in, it's got a film, and that film has got a coating on it or an emulsion. Well, that emulsion is standard. So if you got 400 ASA ISO kind of emulsion, every roll of film that you have with that is going to have the same kind of conditions. It's going to be 400 ASA and it's standard. It may vary a little bit electronically with a digital camera. It may be not quite true 400, or might not be quite true in the sense that it may be 540, it may be 320, but that doesn't matter because it's going to give you the a meter reading that you can take and adjust off of for the camera, so where you can expose properly, underexpose or overexpose. So that's not important. So the next thing that you're going to deal with after you've done that is you're going to set your aperture. And when you set your aperture, you're going to have normally most people say, man, I got to open up my aperture to f2.8 and I got to get it as wide open as possible. Well, that causes problems. And some of those problems are depth of field and focusing issues, especially in low light. So that's not always good. So sometimes you want to increase your aperture, your f-stop from say f2.8 to f4, f5.6 even, or even greater than that if you've got a high enough, bright enough light and high enough shutter speeds and everything works right. So that is the main settings that you're going to set. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how it all works and how you get there. Okay, so now that you know that you need to set your camera and set all its settings, we're going to talk a little bit about ISO and what it does. ISO basically is the sensitivity of your sensor inside of your camera to light. It's a number rating, it's a value, and what that does, it works very much like a bucket. And in having that bucket, that bucket is full of resources. So when you take and meter with your camera, it does a couple things. Okay, the couple things it's going to do is, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to give you a reading. It's going to absorb the light, calculate it, and then give you a reading for what it sees. And it's going to be the light that's reflected off of whatever you're shooting. So your subject, the artist, the band, instruments, or whatever, it's going to give you a reading of what the light looks like to it, and what it's going, how much light you're actually going to have. So inside that, I'm going to post a picture of what that meter looks like, and usually it's on the bottom of your viewfinders, and it has a scale with a plus and a minus and a bunch of little ticks in the middle of it, and that's the adjustment. This diagram shows what your meter looks like inside of your camera. So the first thing you do is when you set that shutter speed, it's like taking a scoop of resources, and that's the first thing you set. And it takes away a certain percentage of the amount of light in which you have to work with. Then the next thing you do is you take and you set your f-stop, your aperture. When you take and do that, it takes all the remaining resources and uses those. And then what it does is it calculates together if you have proper exposure or not. If you don't have proper exposure, that meter that you will see on the bottom will either be overexposed or underexposed, and then you'll have to move your aperture wheel or your shutter speed wheel either up or down to get it to where you want to be balanced and have proper exposure. This diagram shows the teeter-totter effect of exposure. Another thing to consider is when you still don't have enough light, and rather than increasing your ISO to something above, say above 1600 or above 6400, something real high, is to learn to have good technique. And what I mean by having good technique is taking the normal shutter speed you'd set the lens for, like 200 or 250, and setting it down to 1/25 of a second, or maybe down to 60th of a second, or that's as slow as you really want to handhold it. But in order to have good technique, you got to be able to take and hold the camera properly, push your elbow into your chest, take a deep breath, and release and fire the shutter and reduce the amount of vibration. Now, some people use VR, vibration reduction lenses, and have image stabilization in the camera, but I don't know how well that works. But I know if you take a deep breath and look through the viewfinder and hold the camera properly, you can probably save another 1 to maybe possibly 2 stops, and that can also help you out in very, very low light. This diagram is put up by Canon and shows the proper way in order to handle and hold a camera. So what happens is, by setting your ISO, that tells the sensor exactly how sensitive to be. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind is if your ISO is too high, then it's overly sensitive and you get what's called a fuzzy looking effect or grainy, or what they call noise. It's signal to noise kind of information that's going on, and that's a bad thing. It makes your picture look not as sharp, or it gives it a weird effect. The same thing happens for film. With film, if you overexpose or they do what's called a push process, where the particles of silver the film is developed, and it affects the size of the silver particles. So that's a whole different thing, but it also is covered in ISO. So you want to be careful not to have too much noise, not to have too much grain, and select a shutter speed, an f-stop, aperture, and make sure that your ISO setting is not overpowering so that it gives you bad photographs due to blur and noise. And that covers, basically, in a nutshell, ISO simply. If you found anything in this video that's useful, you like it in any way, man, hit the like button. That'd be great. Our channel is growing, so we're very happy about that. If you would, please subscribe to our videos, keep up to date, and we appreciate you coming and watching our stuff, and we thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. I'm Robert. Have a good week.